Thank you for joining us for a historic recipe for social change, a creative celebration of our right to vote over the time honored tradition of cooking. This three-part series will feature comfort foods with three generations of African American women cooking traditional recipes and discussing how to vote safely, the issues that are important to them, and how they believe their voice and actions will create social change. Today's episode will feature quick sides of cabbage, squash casserole, and sweet potato pudding, and a family recipe for pound cake. Let's get cooking. Okay, quick sides are the best sides, and so this is another wonderful one. We love my mother's cabbage. Okay, so Mama, let's walk us through this cabbage process.
Like almost anything I fix, if it got more than 5 ingredients, I don't know how to cook it.
Okay, so what did you just do?
I just put some of this Goya ham flavored seasoning in it. Then I'm putting a little bit of Cajun seasoning.
Did you have something else in the pan already as well? Is that a little oil?
I had a little bit of oil, just a little bit of oil. And then I put a little bit of Old Bay seasoning. I just like the way Old Bay makes stuff taste a little bit better.
Okay.
And then I put my Cajun, and then just a little, I don't like it hot, but I put a little bit of cayenne pepper in here. Then I put a little bit of water in here, just enough to cover the bottom of the pan, because really cabbage makes its own juice.
Okay.
Mix it up a little bit. Then I put some cabbage in here, a little bit of cabbage, put some cabbage in here. And I layer this so that when it's cooked, then I stir it, but I put a little bit of cabbage. Then I put some carrots in there.
Oh, those colors are beautiful.
And then these onions, these green onions just takes a whole lot better. Then I put some more cabbage.
Yeah, that looks great.
And some more carrots. Oh, look, very decorative, very. And then some more onions.
So this is just layering it up, like we're layering it up, trying to make sure that everybody has the layers within their souls to get out and vote, to make sure that everybody in their sphere of influence is well informed. You're going to be well covered, just like this cabbage is being well covered with the onions and the sliced carrots. That looks really good, Mom.
How many ingredients did I have, Joanna?
How many ingredients? Let's count. So we got 1, 2, 3,
4, 5.
That's it. Look. Okay, so Mama, show everybody what this looks like. This looks like the colors of the rainbows. It looks really springy. And almost it's coming over into the fall, really, with the orange. That's really beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to take it over to the stove and finish it up. And when we come back, it's going to be another amazing side. Okay, so recipes for social change sides. This is another great side, a very easy side that I actually learned from my mother and again adapted a little bit. So what we have, I cut up about 4 squash thinly sliced. Then I cut up a large onion. And I boiled them until they became a little translucent. So if you can look at that now, you see how the squash is kind of translucent, because you can see it's kind of clear, Also, the onions are the same way. I also put a little bit of chicken style seasoning in it again, just to give it a little more flavor. And the aroma in here is wonderful. I hope you can see that steam coming up. So what I'm going to do is, this is very simple, and look, Mama is the queen of casseroles, and I think that I learned this casserole dish from her, actually, and again, I added a little bit to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to transfer my squash over into a mixing bowl. Then I have 2 bags of stuffing. So I'm going to put a half of that in there, mix it around a little bit. And then we want to make sure that it's mixed very well. And you don't want it to get too wet. That's the reason that I'm using the spoon with the slots in it, because I do want to get some juice, but I don't want it to be too wet and soggy once I start baking it. So I'm just going to go ahead and transfer the rest of it over. We're making layers of this. Layer in a little bit of that. Then we're going to put some more of the squash in. This is going to be, again, one of those things that you can really get done in about 20 minutes, and it's done. Because one, the breadcrumbs, as soon as they get wet, they're done. You put in the oven just a little bit, enough to firm up and melt the cheese that we're going to add in. So you can also do this vegan without adding the cheese in. But, you know, cheese makes everything better. And so that's what we're going to do here. So now we're going to add in the rest of this. Doesn't it smell good? Oh my goodness. And you can just see it coming up. The steam is coming up off of it. And then you see it looks a little dry. If you're looking, let's look in it. You see, so this is one of those things where you just got to eye it a little bit. So I'm going to pour a little bit of the water in there. Again, because I want it to be a little wet, but not too wet. Just because you want it to be firm when people eat it. Almost like a dressing. But again, that's why it's a casserole. Okay? So that looks pretty good. I'm going to add just a little more water. And then we're going to be ready to layer this puppy up, and we're about to be done. Again, see how fast this was? This took no time to get done. Okay? So we're going to toss it over a little bit more. And then what I have here in this bowl is a combination of shredded Parmesan cheese and mozzarella. So we're going to move this pot over here, and we're going to bring my little baking dish over. Mama, can you pass me the baking dish? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to reach over you.
Okay.
Okay, and so what we're going to do, we're going to start layering this puppy. We're going to put some right down here on the bottom. Make sure it's nice and flattened out. And again, this could be a great thing to have a little bit of comfort in the evenings, for Sunday dinner, for your family when they come over. Or this could be your new side dish for Thanksgiving. It's the right time, isn't it? So we're going to just spread that over. And again, that's wonderful. And then, Mama, while I'm spreading these things out, tell me a little bit about what are some issues that are important to you now when it comes to voting.
I'm very adamant over the fact that we need to get out and vote, because sometimes people say, well, I don't see why I have to vote. But I feel like this is, if you have never voted before, you need to get out and vote now, because there's so many issues at stake. We want to make sure we get something done to make a difference in this world, because if we don't do it now, we have to look out for the future of our children and our grandchildren, because if we don't do it now, their future does not look too good.
Yeah, and so we're talking about voting, and there's been a lot of discussion about voter fraud and all this other thing, and then we have the pandemic, so a lot of people are at risk for contracting COVID-19. And so how are you thinking about voting this year?
I'm going to vote early. I'm not going to mail in my vote. I'm going to take it to the polls, and I'm going to take advantage of my senior citizen, pull my senior citizen card.
Yeah, you play that senior citizen card all the time.
And do curbside voting early.
That sounds like a good idea. That means that your vote will definitely be counted, won't it?
Yes, it will.
Okay, so look, that was great. So I'm also looking forward to voting, but, you know, I like to vote the day of voting. I don't want anybody counting my vote or thinking they know what I'm going to say before I say it. And so you can count on me being in that line come rain or shine, and posting on Facebook that I have voted, as I have every year in the past, and this will not be anything different. We just look forward to being engaged and encouraging others to be engaged. So if you're watching this and you have thought about voting, more than likely you're thinking about voting and you know you're going to do it. But encourage somebody that hasn't done it before to do it, or somebody that you know that has been disenfranchised or really feels like their vote doesn't count. Encourage those family members and those friends to really think about the future of America, of our communities as a whole. Get to know about your representatives. Read those voter guides, ask questions, because even when we vote, we want to vote with intelligence. And so we look forward to that, just like I'm looking forward to putting this in the oven and bringing it back to you as soon as it's done. Recipes for change, and this one is one that I got from my mama.
And if you're planning on voting, like Joanna, the day of, go early, stay in line, walk, take your chair, do whatever you gotta do, but make sure your vote counts.
Are you informed about this year's candidates? If not, go to the NC Voter Guide 2020. It's a wonderful tool. And what can you find out? Who are these people on your ballot and why should you care? How can you vote by mail? And where can you safely vote in person? Don't forget that early voting starts October the 15th through the 31st, and Election Day is November the 3rd. So let's make a plan.
Hi, my name is Jair. I'm here with you all today to share a recipe, indeed a comfort food recipe, and what better than pound cake to be just that. Now, hear me out. Although it is a pound cake, make sure that you are getting out and exercising. I know that we are trapped in and everything, but a pound cake probably means a pound. You're gaining one. So make sure you go outside and you exercise and you get that fresh air. But while you're doing that, make sure you go out and vote. And, make it known what you're feeling, what you believe in. There's something that's going on that that doesn't sit right with you. Make sure you go out and be that change and speak up for yourself. So first, we're going to start off with half a cup of shortening, which is 2 sticks of butter. We're going to go ahead and add that in. I cut it up. It should be softened just so that it, smooths easier, but it's definitely not coming out. But that's okay. Then we're going to add in half a cup of vegetable oil, and we're gonna let those cream together. So let's go ahead and do that. Yikes. And first off, a correction, I said half a cup of butter, but it's actually half a pound, which does indeed equal 2 sticks. Now it has churned some, and we're gonna go ahead and slowly add in 3 cups of sugar. So let's do that. So you guys, so far, I want to show you guys what we're looking like right here. We have the sugar mixed with the butter and the shortening. It's a nice little crystallized, a nice little sparkle. So I wanted you guys to go ahead and see that. It's nice and fluffy. So the next step is adding in the eggs. There are 5 in total, and we're going to add it in one at a time, letting it beat after each one. It's going to start to loosen up. It's not going to be as thick and fluffy, but it's still going to maintain the thickness it had before. Trying to be sure that I don't get any eggshells in there. We have one more. Exciting. I want to let it beat a little bit. And there we are with the eggs. So here we are at another stopping point, and this is what it looks like after 5 eggs were added in. The next step, we're going to add in the dry ingredients all together, minus the sugar, of course. So we have 3 cups of flour, half a teaspoon of baking powder. Make sure we get it all in there. And half a teaspoon of salt, fine salt, if you can. If not, I think it's okay. I've done it before without fine salt, and it still came out good. So the next step is mixing it all together. And after all the dry ingredients are mixed, you add it in, alternating with the milk, which is 1 cup in total. So you start with the flour, alternate, and end with flour. So let's go ahead and do that after I mix it, of course. So let's go ahead and start with the flour mixture or the dry ingredients mixture. It may get a little messy at this point, but as long as it's not too bad, I think you're doing fine. We're almost there. So while it's mixing, I want to go ahead and speak on how excited I am. I just recently turned 18 and this is my first time being able to vote. It's really important to me because there are a lot of things in this world that's going on, and sometimes you're going to have to take a stand if you want to see change, and voting is my way to be able to do that. So I'm really excited, and I hope that I'm able to make a change by voting, and so should you. All right. So far it is all mixed up, and we have 2 more ingredients to go. Last but not least, we have the lemon extract, which is 1 teaspoon, and then the vanilla extract, which is as well 1 teaspoon. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the mixer back on and let it mix, and then add these in, and then we're all finished up with this portion. Just go ahead and pour it in. By the way, the lemon extract smells very good. I just wanted to go ahead and put that out there. And of course vanilla, but you know, vanilla's in a lot of baking things, like a lot of cakes, you know, usually, but lemon extract not so much. So it's a nice little new smell, you know, from time to time. As well, almond extract, that smells very good as well. I just wanted to let you know, so. And we should be finished up almost. Let's see. I think we're good, you guys. So let me go ahead and lift it up, and there we are. This is a finished product. Doesn't it look good? I wouldn't recommend eating it like this because there are like 5 eggs in here. It's not very healthy. But anyways, let's go ahead and transfer this to the pans and then into the oven and start this bad boy baking. Okay. So here we are with the next portion. We're going to be transferring the cake batter to the pans. Now, I like to scrape off the spatula a little bit before taking it off, so that it doesn't drip too much. You know, you want to be able to get as much cake batter as you can. Now here we have 2 pans because a lot of the time, you know, our batter is nice and thick and it likes to overflow a little bit. So, you know, we don't want that to happen. So I have 2, and you know, a mini one for, you know, if you want to go ahead and give it to a friend or something, and keep the big one for yourself. But like I said, make sure you exercise it off, you know, work it off, you know, we don't want to gain that pound. We want to lose it after eating it. Yes, sir. So go ahead, we're going to go ahead and transfer this. Oh, it's so satisfying. I don't know about for you guys, but I know for me, I love to see this part. Drop it a little bit. That's what we're looking like so far. The little one's a little hurt, you know, but that's why it's looking so far. He's a little happy to be so small. So remember what I said. After you eat this, you know, this comfort food, this delicious comfort food, to get outside and exercise and vote. Now this is what it looks like. A lot prettier, isn't it? Let's make sure it doesn't fall all out. And our next step are sliding these bad boys into the oven. So let's go ahead and do that. Once again, I'm Jai Air.
And I'm Jay Essence.
While we're waiting for our desserts to finish up in the oven, we're going to go ahead and register to vote online and fill our absentee ballots for North Carolina, since we are currently away at school in Alabama.
First thing you have to do is go to vote.org, click on register to vote, and fill out your information. It takes about 2 minutes to do it.
now that we've registered to vote and filled our absentee ballots, we encourage you to encourage your kids and grandkids to do the same. Vote. And here we are. Now, usually I would leave it in the oven for a little bit longer to get browner like you see on the sides, but it's looking very good so far and it's smelling up the room in a very good manner. So, hope you all enjoy.
Okay, so here's another side. It's one of my favorites that I asked my mama to make during Thanksgiving time. And Mama, why do you say you only like to make it once a year and only by request? And why is that?
I told you I don't like to bake. and it's very quick. All of my sisters, especially my sister next to Viola, she loves to bake. But I'm not one of those that like to bake.
Okay, well, before you go any further, is a special process that you did with these potatoes?
First, I grated them.
Okay, so you grated them because of the texture again, because
Yeah.
you could chop them up or you could boil the potatoes, but for this recipe, it's important that you grate them, right?
Yeah, grate. But you know, you can make them after you cook the potatoes and mash them, but the texture is not the same.
Okay, so what are we going to do now?
Now I'm going to add 1 egg and mix it up. And then my mother didn't measure nothing. I started to just sprinkle in here, but I'm the type of person I like to measure, so if I have to follow the recipe a little bit. So I'm putting a 1/2 teaspoonful of allspice. She used to use nutmeg, pumpkin pie season, anything she put her hand on that she made it think it might work, she would use it. And then I'm putting a little bit of vanilla flavor. And then I'm going to put some melted butter.
That was about 1/2 stick?
No, 1 stick.
Oh.
1 stick of melted butter. Yeah,
Very rich.
This make a rich and yummy and yeah. And then I'm going to add the sugar first. Add my sugar, and this is about a 3/4 cups of sugar.
Okay.
This is it. This is why we used to like it so much, because it's so sweet and yummy. Got a lot of sugar. Got a lot of sugar.
So again, for those diabetics that are watching, this is one of those things that you do in moderation.
And eat it very sparingly.
Yes.
And then I'm going to add the flour.
And how much flour
It's
is it?
self-rising flour, about a third of a cup of flour.
Okay.
And this just for to help it get the whole together.
Okay.
This is delicious, y'all, I tell you.
So do you remember grandmother voting or talking about voting and things of that sort?
My mother was I guess that's where we get it from. She was an activist. I tell folks she was a woman before her time. She would participate in and I put 3/4 cups of milk in here.
Okay.
If it was anything community oriented, she was involved. And then I'm going to put some raisins in here. This is optional, but Mother used to put raisins, coconut, whatever she wanted to in it. Sometimes she even put pineapples in it. So
this is one of those times where you can be creative.
Yeah, you be very creative. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to spread a little bit of
Just
a little bit on the bottom.
Okay.
And then, guess what? I like quick desserts. It's ready to go into the oven.
So what do you bake it on?
I bake it on I do for 375.
for how long?
About 20 minutes until it start getting firm.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds like a quick recipe.
What I do is quick, especially when it comes to desserts. I do quick desserts. That's all I do is quick dessert. Like Vala said, if it can't be done in 45 minutes, if the dessert can't be done in 10 or 30 minutes at the most, I ain't doing it.
Okay, well, let's see how this side turns out. We're ready for it. Thank you all so much for joining us for a recipe for change, because that's what it's all about. We know that right now there is a lot of turmoil that's going around, uncertainty when it comes to racial justice as well as our voting rights. And so I'm just happy to be able to have my girls here with us to join in this segment and really talk about why we should vote and some of our earliest memories. So JS, since Jair, either of you, what are some of your earliest memories about voter engagement and or politics?
Well, personally for me, I know that I don't really enjoy politics. I don't like them. I am someone that's more of the arts. I like liberal things and everything, but I feel like politics is just so much behind it that I just don't necessarily like it. But I feel like, of course, you should be educated enough to be able to make right decisions and know what you believe in. But besides that, I really don't want anything to do with it.
So does it have anything to do with like the way that people engage around politics, or what is it that you really don't like? What puts you off?
So many things can set people against each other, religion, beliefs, everything like that, and it's just, I don't necessarily want to be in that scuffle that it seems to be. It's just like who's right, who's wrong, and that kind of stuff that I feel like is just what politics is built off of, and lies. I mean, like, you want to say what other people want to hear, and it's just, those aren't the things that I necessarily want to fill my life with, so that's why I don't really like politics.
But with that said, you don't like it, but how important is it to be engaged and involved?
It's very important so that you actually know what you're doing, so that you're not just going to vote just to vote. You're not voting what someone else wants you to vote. You're voting for what you believe will actually make a change, what you believe is correct or right for your moral beliefs and everything like that. So that's why I think it's important.
Great, thanks. Because I think a lot of people are feeling that way right now. Most of us really want peace on earth when you think about it. But we do want to make sure that we have the things that we need. And that's what really voting is about. Like, we know that we're celebrating the 19th Amendment and women having the right to vote, because 100 years ago, women couldn't vote the way that they can now. And that's hard to believe that it used to be like that, but it was. And so when we're thinking about memories, JS, what are some of your earliest memories around politics, or even around just being engaged in voting and things of that sort?
Well, my earliest memory is coming back home from school and my grandmother having CNN on. So I heard a lot about what was going on when I was younger.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just glad that you all are open to voting, even though there may be a little apathy, because I really feel like we have to vote. And that's the reason that we have gone through the trouble to make sure that, one, you have registered online, two, you have filled out this absentee ballot, because we want to make sure that your vote counts not just in general, but in North Carolina, because North Carolina is a swing state, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's get it done. Recipes for social change are quick sides. We have our sweet potato casserole, we have our squash casserole, and this beautiful cabbage. It looks so much like fall, and it smells like fall in here. We hope that, again, you all are inspired by everything that we talked about in the kitchen today and everything that we made. But most of all, we want you to be change agents.
And vote.
Thank you to AARP of North Carolina Western Region, APIPA, Pro 16 Productions, and you for joining us for this episode of Historic Recipe for Social Change. Don't forget to vote safely, and for more information, go to your county's Board of Elections webpage or www.aarp.org/NCVotes.